I suppose it happens to the best of us, but for this video, you'll see here that the first little bit of footage of me starting to paint somehow got lost or deleted or something. And I've watched my fair share of art videos, so I know how it goes. I know it's totally a thing that happens. I was just a little bit baffled. I'm not totally sure how I lost this footage, especially since I'm filming all of these videos on my phone, but somehow I managed to lose the footage. So this video is going to be starting in not even the middle, just like the beginning parts of me painting, and we're gonna go from there. In these two pages, I'm actually experimenting a little bit more with this new style I'm using while I'm painting that's a little bit more fluid and more about the brush strokes and about adding texture to the piece, and also about adding like detail and maybe life and, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a more dynamic nature to the piece overall, or to the sketches, or whatever I'm happen to be painting. I'm overall just trying to enhance the way that I already paint and to add a little bit more expression and texture into the subjects that I want to experiment with. So if that sounds like something that you would enjoy, I'm Rory Fluent, but feel free to call me Rory. And if you're new around here, hi, hello, how are you? I am very excited to talk through my process and this new style that I'm developing. And I like to create dope art content and hopefully a chill atmosphere. So if that sounds like something you would enjoy, feel free to do all the YouTubey things like comment, subscribe. And if you're not new around here, what is up, my dudes? Let's get into the video. I am trying in this piece also to kind of mix my colors. I don't necessarily have something like an earth green, so I was mixing like an olive green with Daniel Smith undersea green and a perylene green from Schminka, and trying to get that green right. And then the yellow colors are just gamboge. No. It's M. Graham's quinacridone nickel, which is such a gorgeous color. Like, all of the yellow you're seeing here is just that color in different intensities, which I think is really impressive. I love that color so much, and I love the deep kind of burnt orangey color you can get with it. I'm not so, I hate yellow, so I'm not the biggest fan of the really bright yellow that you can get with achieve with the quinacridone nickel, but that really deep, thick kind of looking color that's almost more like a burnt deep orange, almost like a burnt sienna, actually. I love that color. I think it's so pretty. So I'm mixing kind of gouache with watercolor here to just further push and experiment with this kind of new style that I'm just trying to see if I like the way that looser brush strokes look in my paintings. And honestly, so far I've really been enjoying it. I felt like I got to this point where I was like, okay, I understand how I want to paint and I understand how I want things to look, and I'm happy with them, but I feel like it's missing something. I feel like I want more energy in my pieces and in my sketches. And so I thought, you know what? The way that I paint kind of feels a little boring. So let's see what happens when I just experiment and really let the brush strokes be super loose. And from there, I've been kind of toying with this push and pull of figuring out how expressive I want those strokes to really be and to really come across. You'll see eventually I'll actually break out my gouache palette because right now I'm just going in with white gouache, and I really decide that it needs a little bit more color, not just white gouache to it. And so I start to use a sort of Naples yellow color, I believe, and go in with that and just mess around with what I'm painting. Which reminds me that I should probably talk about what it is that I'm painting. My mom got this beautiful yellow tomato, and she cut it up and arranged it on a plate. I might even put the picture I took of it up here. And she just arranged them on a plate, these slices of really vibrant yellow tomato, and I was just like, oh my god, that tomato is awesome. Like, it looks so cool and interesting, and I wanted to paint it. So I'm painting tomatoes, and I'm just painting other things that are kind of tomato themed. There's like a boar eating a tomato, and these like noodly snakes twisting around each other with like tomatoes in between them, and then this snail that has like a plant growing in its shell that is growing tomatoes. And I was just kind of, especially on this particular page of the spread, just experimenting and trying to gain my footing and figure out what I wanted to do and what it was that I wanted to paint. Oftentimes, you'll see, especially lately, that I'm thinking a little bit more critically about where I want to place my brush strokes, because it feels more important now, number one, and number two, I don't totally know what I'm doing. So I kind of need to think about like every stroke I'm making so that I can understand what decisions I like and what decisions I don't like so much. So you'll notice that I place a brush stroke and then I pull my hand away and I kind of hesitate and I'm like, what do I want to do next? And honestly, in that moment, I do not know the answer, but I was just very happy with this spread. I'm happy with most spreads, and when I'm not, I tend to redo them or go about the painting process in a different way and then maybe paste something over the top of it or whatever, especially because my sketchbook is the main place that I go to make art. I tend to like it to have sketches and paintings that I'm really proud of in it, and so I tend to cherish it like that. Not that I'm super against growing in a sketchbook and experimenting, like obviously that's what I'm doing here. But I want those experiments and I want the things that I create to be good and to be something that I like. Even though not all of the tiny sketches or ideas are something that I do end up liking, I hope that the spread in the end is something that I enjoy looking at. You'll also see me throughout the video, like, shoving my tiny paintbrush into this tube of white gouache, and it's because I'm just stubborn, and I have, like, 30 other tubes of white gouache, but I don't want to let go of this one that I left the cap off of, like, once, and it dried, like, up in the top, but, like, the inside of the tube is still squishy, so I know that there is, like, not dried gouache in there somewhere. But you'll see me throughout the video kind of doing that on and off because white gouache is kind of like my savior right now with this new style as I'm experimenting and learning. And you'll see I'll kind of like flip back to the spread that I did with the fish and see what I did there that I like and try to notice that and understand the choices that I made and to make them in further spreads on different subject matters. And especially because I was kind of experimenting and not totally sure of myself, I wanted to complete a spread and then take what I learned, or complete a page, and then take what I learned and apply it to the other page so that I have like a cohesive spread, but maybe the other page that I do second might come out a little bit better because I learned from the first page that I did. I've been really enjoying, honestly, throughout this entire sketchbook, kind of adding small details that I used to maybe not try to add, and obviously I've talked like a lot about the fact that I'm trying to focus on texture and creating a more dynamic way of painting and way of artistically expressing myself, honestly. And I've just really enjoyed being able to take a small detail brush and add those smaller details in and to have it genuinely make a difference in a positive way, because I feel like you can also walk this fine line as an artist of overworking a piece and over-rendering and going too far, and I feel like I've kind of figured out a little bit my balance, which is just really exciting and gives me a little bit of a boost of confidence overall, honestly. These videos end up being so much to cut down and condense and speed up, though, because I'm taking so long to make every little decision that you see at like 6 times speed, which is just hilarious. This spread also kind of lends itself as the beginning of me drawing a lot more noodly boys and sort of like squiggly creatures that are wrapping around each other. It's just a subject that I'm really having a lot of fun with right now. And it does not stop with this page. It just keeps going and going. I believe the next spread actually is just a page of newts and squiggly boys and just a lot of overlapping creatures, and it was a lot of fun to paint, so that'll probably be the next video because I tend to post these kind of chronologically to how and when I painted them. And I'm still really enjoying the thick and variating line work that I get with the Tombow brush pen. I'm definitely, you can tell, like, I'm going so slow. Like, this is sped up times like 6, and I am just going so slow with this liner and the entire process because I'm just critically thinking about every single move I'm making, honestly. But I'm definitely sticking with the Tombow brush pen right now because it's just I'm really enjoying that I can get varying line weights with it. It's thick, so it kind of cuts through the gouache and genuinely adds line work that seems to make a difference, where the ballpoint pen kind of just gets lost in all of the textures and all of the detail, and the gouache and the opacity of the gouache just eats the ballpoint pen. But a brush pen that's more like an ink liner is definitely the way to go right now for me, because it just, like I said, it cuts right through that gouache and really helps to make my line art stand out. I chose the subject matter for this leftmost page specifically because not only of the tomatoes, but also because, like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen videos of like pigs eating tomatoes, but it's like the cutest thing on the planet. And so I wanted to draw like a boar with its tusks like chomping down on a tomato. And I have always loved drawing snails, but in this kind of new way of not only painting but also like drawing, because it was very recently that I had a bit of a style shift as well in just the way that I was drawing literally everything. I wasn't super sure how to go about drawing snails in this new style, and so I wanted to go ahead and give that a crack. And who doesn't love like drawing things coming out of a shell and like organic plant matter? It's just a lot of fun to paint. So I wanted to go ahead and put that on the spread. And then for this rightmost spread, I was just kind of continuing the theme. Like, I wanted to draw like a larger version of the boar where it's the whole body, because I've never really drawn the whole body of a boar before, so I wanted to kind of look at the anatomy a little bit, see how I would want to paint that. I was excited to paint sort of like this floating tree stump, and I added the little eyeballs that I love to into it, like it's kind of a creepy stump. And I was just kind of having fun and throwing more tomatoes everywhere on the second page, honestly. My favorite, like, doodles on the spread were definitely, like, the tomatoes while I was in the middle of the painting process. Like, I was having the most fun with them, and they were honestly the reason that I wanted to paint and draw this entire spread. So I was just having a great time drawing and painting these tomatoes. And then I would say, like, watching it back, I'm still having, like, a great time looking at them. I'm really happy with the tomato slices. I think that they just turned out like a lot of fun, and fruit and veg can be really fun to paint. Like, I feel like everyone who's taken an art class has had to do some sort of still life, probably of fruit before. And I just feel like there are so many other ways to paint and draw fruit and vegetables in a way that is just way more fun and way more engaging than just a still life and trying to capture the reality and the depth of, you know, a banana sitting in front of you. Not that there aren't, like, valuable ways and things that you can learn from something like that, like value and texture and contrast and lighting and shadows, but, you know, all that being said, I think that I definitely had a lot more fun painting these tomato slices than I ever would painting a still life. I'm wondering now, actually, watching this back, if making some sort of, like, tomato slice pattern in Procreate might be kind of fun. I've been trying to experiment a little bit more with digital art, specifically on Procreate, and trying to see how I can go about creating art that is similar to my traditional work, but obviously digitally and on a tablet. And I bought a few Max Pack brushes or brush packs, honestly. I have hundreds of the brushes now. And I've been experimenting on and off with trying to make Procreate work and to make art with it that I'm proud of. And honestly, because I liked doing these tomatoes so much, I feel like doing something like a pattern with maybe like little newts, like, I don't know, wiggling in and out of between the tomato slices. That might be a fun little project to give myself in Procreate. Because sometimes I really like giving myself projects where it's like a much larger thing to manage, but it's a little bit more maybe rewarding to complete because it takes so long and so much time and you're learning. Very similar to like a school project, honestly. I am really enjoying watching the development of the tree stump, though, through this, I don't know, I guess me watching back what I have filmed. I think that, like, I'm really, really happy and proud of the shadow and depth that I was able to get with the tree stump. I think it looks really good looking at it, which is, you know, nice. You never want to look back at something and be like, oh, God, I could have done way better. Per usual, I'm adding a lot of my depth and contrast with marker, almost outlining parts of the different doodles with the marker just to make sure that I'm happy with the silhouette, and adding little like dots and details, and then going in with colored pencil to kind of blur everything together and add a little bit more texture, and just kind of going through those small details as I always do to start completing the spread and completing this particular page. So that I can take a step back and look at them together, both pages, and assess how I feel and assess whether or not I like what I've made. And, you know, in the end, I think I'm almost always pretty happy with the things that I make in this sketchbook, excluding the first spread I did of ducks. And this page I was just really, really happy with. Those tomatoes, I was really inspired by them. And the way that I was able to paint them in this new style was really exciting to me. It gave me a good idea of how to go about painting the other things on the page. And it really allowed me to try and, I don't know, see how far I could push these really intense, really fluid brush strokes. And I was just having a ball, an absolute, like, I don't know, I was just having so much fun, and I thought that they turned out really sick, and that was really exciting to me, honestly. I mean, who wouldn't be excited by something that they think, that they made, that they think is turning out really cool? And I'm certainly no exception to that. Really? I'm trying to record. Please don't step on my computer. What are you doing? What are you doing? Huh? Ruckus. What are you doing? Rubbing your face on the phone? Huh? It was really exciting in this piece to actually use a color that I've always been drawn to and loved, but never really liked to add to my paintings, you know? I kind of liked to admire it from afar. It felt like a color that like wasn't really my color, but for some reason I kept it in my palette because I really liked it. And it was really cool to see my ability to use quinacridone nickel from Emgram and paint these tomatoes with it, and even add it to like the little snake creatures and the snail shells, and to see my ability to actually implement a color that I've always really wanted to, but never really felt like I could. That was pretty cool. And with all of that being said, I hope that you guys liked the video and stuck around to the end. Thank you so much if you did. Feel free to do all the YouTube-y things, and I will hopefully talk to you in the next one. Bye!